Right, hello viewers and welcome back to another roundup of exciting new bike tech. And in this episode, is Canyon about to launch a brand new suspension gravel bike? Could 13-speed gearing be coming to road bikes sooner than we expected? The latest Chinese bike brand has arrived in the UK and I've had my first look. And Continental has released some slightly more affordable tyres. But before all that, let's start with the aero hack of the week. How cool is that? Let me know by dropping a comment down below. I wonder how many watts it might save. It's certainly a lot cheaper than a SRAM XPLR or absolute black oversized jockey wheel system. So let me know what you think of that by dropping a comment down below. Right, let's dive in and we'll take a look at a brand new, possibly Canyon gravel bike. So some of the Canyon sponsored gravel riders have been out training in Girona recently and shared a video on Instagram. And it appears to show what might be a new Canyon gravel bike with a suspension fork. Looking at the photos, the frame does look very similar to the Grail, which I've been testing for the last 6 months, with a suspension fork fitted, a combination that doesn't exist yet. And the fork, if you zoom in, doesn't look like a Cane Creek, RockShox or Fox with the reverse arch design you can see from the photos. And it does appear to possibly say Canyon down by the fork axle. And my suspicion it might actually be a new frame as well is the Grizzle is due an update, been out for quite a few years now, and that bike has been sold with a RockShox suspension fork or a carbon fork if you prefer. So while the frame does indeed look very similar to the Grail with the aero carbon one-piece handlebar and stem, which the Grizzle doesn't, could it in fact be a replacement, an upgrade for the Grizzle, which has a lot of similarity with the Grail in terms of frame design and that one-piece carbon handlebar and stem, but with the option of a suspension fork? I could, of course, be wrong, and it might just be the current Grail with a suspension fork on it that I don't recognize, that I don't think is on the market yet. So maybe it's a Grail with Canyon's own suspension fork. And a bike brand making a suspension fork has happened in the past. Specialized have tried and failed numerous times to make their own suspension components, but generally bike brands don't do suspension, they leave it to the experts like Fox and RockShox and Cane Creek and Manitou and others. So if Canyon is doing a suspension fork, and a big if, it'd be a very risky but bold move indeed. So let me know your thoughts on these photos. What do you think? I'm just speculating here, trying to share my insights on what I think there might be, because it doesn't look like something you can buy right now as far as I know. This video is sponsored by AliExpress, the online shopping platform that offers massive savings on a huge range of cycling products and accessories. From carbon fiber wheels to 3D printed saddles, tools, clothing, accessories, and much, much more. And right now, you can save even more money with the AliExpress Cashback Challenge. You simply have to download the app on your smartphone and then join my team, link down below, and then you earn 5% cash back on everything you buy. And as you shop, you earn points, and more points mean, yes that's right, even more cash back, up to a possible 15% cash back. And even better, starting on the 16th of March, the AliExpress anniversary sale will boost those discounts up to 80%. So a good time to treat yourself or your bike to some new upgrades ready for the spring and summer. So download the app now, link below, or scan the barcode on screen right now and get shopping and get saving. The Continental Grand Prix 5000 STR tyre is one of the most popular on the market right now, and a cheaper version has just been announced. It still has the same black chili tread compound, but has a new 4-ply construction and a few other changes. And the result of that changed construction is a cheaper or lower price. It's priced from £55 in the UK or $68 in the US, with tubeless and clincher versions and a range of widths. But the trouble is, the GP5000 STR has been out for quite a few years now, and the discounts, if you shop around, are pretty good. Like this one here from Merlin Cycles in the UK, £52 for a 28mm wide GP5000 STR. Essentially the same price as the new, cheaper version of that tyre. So yeah, it's cheaper than the retail price of the range-topping tyre, but not cheaper than the high street prices. So it does make it a bit of a tough sell if you are looking for the best tyre for your money. But Hopefully I can ride a tyre soon and see how they perform and see if they offer all the same performance and roll resistance of the tyres that we all like, but maybe hopefully a bit more punch and protection and don't wear out as quickly as well. There's been talk of the invasion of Chinese bike brands. We know most bikes are made in Asia, but actual Chinese branded, designed, engineered and manufactured and marketed as Chinese bikes. And I spotted my first X-Lab while riding in Calpe, Spain last week. And I've got to say, it looks better in the flesh or the carbon than in the photos I've seen so far. And having a nose around the bike, it appears to be nothing very radical going on at all. Certainly not like we've seen on the Carnago Y1 RS. And it does appear to take many features from popular aero bikes. The shape of the down tube, the skinny rear stays, the little fork tabs like Pinarello do. So nothing radical, but a collection of very common sort of aero tricks. And since I saw the bike last week, it's now available to buy right here in the UK as well. Well, the frame set anyway, and it's priced at £2,500, which is very competitive and certainly a lot less than a Specialized, a Trek or a Carnago. And similar to the Seeker Spear, which I've been reviewing over the last few months. Frame weight is a claimed 850 grams, so pretty good for an aero bike, and they claim not mine, to be more aero than a Canyon Aeroad. And if you want a complete bike, well, you have to build a bike yourself, the same as most Chinese brands like Windspace and Seeker. If you want a Team Astana replica look, well, you need a Shimano Dura Di2 group set, Vision Metron wheels and Vittoria Corsa 30mm wide tyres. Yes, 30mm wide tyres on an aero bike. The recent Omloop Het Nieuwsblad, basically a mini Tour of Flanders race just 2 weekends ago, gave us many things. The first race, proper race of the year, and also our first sighting of a 13-speed group set on a road bike, and I'm pretty sure this has not happened before. 2x is still king in the pro peloton, but some of the Lidl Trek team have been using their SRAM group sets with 1x, a single ring on the front and a 12-speed cassette on the back at races over the last couple of years. But in Belgium, a few riders took it a step further by using SRAM's latest Explore gravel bike group set. So 1x13 speed with a massive 1046 cassette on the back, and combine that not with the normal 42 you get on the front of a gravel bike, but a massive 52 size chainring on the front. So simply massive gears. And you might have seen my review of the group set after testing it for the last 6 months. That's linked above and down below in case you missed it. I mostly rode that as a gravel bike group set, but also used it as an all-road bike as well, and I'll share my experience on that in a moment. So a key feature of this new group set is the rear derailleur mounts directly to the frame and needs a UDH dropout, becoming common on mountain bikes and now gravel bikes. But the Trek Madone SLR they are racing is one of the very few road bikes or top level race bikes that does have a UDH dropout, which allows the frame to be fitted with SRAM's new Explore group set. Now, of course, the team is sponsored by SRAM, and of course, Cyclical Types will just call this a marketing push by a US company to promote their new products. But promoting a gravel bike group set on a road bike seems a bit of a strange marketing move. And when I've spoken to SRAM in the past about the topic of what pros use on their bikes, they said that they don't force riders to use any equipment. Now you might disagree with that, but that's what they told me. But marketing to one side, if you have ridden the famous Flanders climbs of the region, you'll know that you come into them steaming hot fast and then need to quickly dump a load of gears as the gradient and cobbles ramp up, and you go from 50k an hour to 15. And I've seen firsthand many pros and amateur riders flaying around with drop chains as the front mech has failed its job at the most critical moment. And because you're riding on very rough roads with potholes and very rough cobbles, the chain is bouncing around and very likely to drop off. So switching to a 1x group set can reduce the risk of the chain dropping, as you're only asking the rear mech to move the chain up and down the cassette and not managing front and rear changes to match your cadence. And the more shifting you do front and rear, the more there is a risk of the chain dropping off. And front mechs are amazing, they work really well, both Shimano and SRAM. But anytime you try and change gear, especially go from a big ring to a small ring on a bumpy road, you are at a high risk of the chain just bouncing off or just missing the inner chain ring. If you have a bounce over a cobble at the wrong time, the chain can come unshipped very quickly indeed. So, does 1x13 work on the road? Well, it seemed to work for the pros. I don't see any reports of them struggling with technology, although they didn't win the races, of course. And I've been riding a Canyon Grail for the last 6 months as a road bike with a 40mm semi-slick gravel tyre, and the geometry isn't that dissimilar to an endurance road bike. And with mudguards, it's been a perfect winter bike for dealing with the crappy roads here in the Cotswolds and use that 1x13 gearing. And I've dabbled with one bike on the past, on the road, and it's always been a compromise. That balance between kind of total range, but then not having too many big gaps between the sprockets. But 1x13 is better, obviously, than 1x12 and does go a big step towards 1x working on the road. That 1046 gives you that high-end range and gives you the climbing ability as well. And then paired even with that 40 on the front, which sounds tiny, I can easily spin out at 45k an hour, which when I'm riding solo on my own is plenty fast enough. So going up to a 52 or 56 will give the pros that top end speed they need and want, and should give them enough climbing ability on the short climbs of Flanders. But how it copes in the mountains, that's something else. But for the very fast, punchy climbs of Belgium, 1x13 does seem to be a good option. I'm not saying all bikes will have it in the future, but you never know. But interesting to see the team using the technology and dabbling with it and really sort of experimenting and pushing boundaries of what works and what doesn't. Another interesting observation from the opening weekend, the Omloop Het Nieuwsblad, revolves around rim depth. Now, most bikes have rims of equal depth, or the current trend is for a deeper rear wheel and a shallower front wheel to optimize aerodynamics and weight and handling benefits. But Cycling News spotted some of the Bora Hansgrohe team with a reverse aero wheelset and a deeper front wheel, a deeper rim, and a shallower rear rim, which is not something we often ever see on road bikes. And there's a lot of speculation around why it might be. Is it a new wheelset that Rival, the specialized wheel brand, are working on? Or are we about to see the aerodynamics of wheels turn on its head? Because for the last few years, as aero bikes and understanding has developed and gained pace, the prevailing trend is for the frontal surface area to be the big focus, because the rider is 80% of the drag on the bike, the fleshy lump on the bike. And we've seen handlebars getting narrower to bring the rider in, and we've seen developments like on the specialized Tarmac SL8 really focus on the front of the frame, and particularly the head tube, which is getting deeper, and the speed sniffer and the deeper fork blade, and then really focusing less on the back of the frame. And the Tarmac is a good example of having a really skinny rear end, no real aero or typical aero on the back of the frame, where normally aero bikes have deep down tubes and deep seat tubes hugging the rear wheel. So could this new wheel setup, if it is a new wheel setup, be the same approach as the Tarmac and other aero bikes, really focusing on the front end of the bike, the handlebar, the head tube, the fork, and now the wheels. And rim depth on race bikes is an interesting one. There are UCI rules around how deep you can go, and time trial bikes often go really deep. So could this be the team really trying to improve the front end aerodynamics by going for a deeper front wheel and then trying to save weight with a shallower rear wheel? So really rethinking the wheel technology, the rim depth, and the tyre size around the front of the bike. So really interesting observation there. Is it a new trend? I have no idea, but let me know your thoughts on this one by dropping a comment down below. There are riders who have dabbled in this idea in the past. It's not a new thing at all, but just the prevailing trend is for the same depth front and rear, or a deeper rear wheel, which I think does look better, having a deep rear wheel and a shallow front wheel. And a deeper front wheel does look a bit odd, but maybe because we're not used to it, rather than it being anything else like that. So let me know your thoughts on that down below.